greased, whatever you want to call it. Now the transition from final dough rest to sheet. Okay? Got some oil in my hand so it's not going to stick. Pick it up and spread it out. So, you can see this dough has got a lot of strength to it. It didn't just flow into the corners. You can see we've got some nice air bubbles going here, there. And so I'm going to, stretch it a little bit like this. But we haven't done our full prep yet for the topping. And so I'm going to let this just sit here and relax. As it relaxes, it'll start to flow a little bit more. It'll allow me to pat it out. So while we're doing the prep here in a second, we'll let this relax some more, and then we'll come back and finish spreading the dough out into the pan, and then we'll top it. And oh, I better go turn my oven on too, so we can start to get that preheating. I have an oven stone in my oven. Not all that exciting. It's pretty dirty at this point, but I like baking on a stone, and as I say in the instructions, we want a really hot oven. So I'm going to crank that oven up to about 525, 530 degrees. Okay, rosemary prep, real simple. Just get a sprig of rosemary, strip the rosemary leaves off like that. Do the same thing with another one. Rosemary doesn't taste that good just alone. I mean, it smells great. Nothing smells as good as rosemary. Well, basil does. But I'm going to strip it off. Then we're going to do a little bit of a rough chop here with the chef's knife, just so we have smaller pieces. And that's about it. Doesn't have to do a whole lot more. My garlic, I'm just going to chop it real simple into smaller pieces. And I guess julienne garlic, I don't know. I just call this rough chop as well.
Oh, you chop it.
Yeah. Now you can do however you want. There is no rule in my kitchen other than don't cut yourself. Clean up after yourself. Okay, we are going to finish extending the focaccia out into the sheet pan. Again, olive oil on my hands. You don't have to worry about how much olive oil there is at this point, because olive oil is one of our toppings. So this is relaxed. I can gently lift it up, extend it out, feel kind of like where the dough's a little bit thicker. Trying to save the bubbles still. I'm going to move it to the corners, and this is going to fill out the rest of the pan as it rises. But you can see I've got nice big bubbles here. You kind of dot it a little bit with your fingers so that there's a place to, when you pour some olive oil, that it doesn't flow away like that. Lots of good flavor. You can kind of smooth it around. I'm going to have one empty corner here, but that's not a big deal. I don't worry about things like that. So we've got our garlic. I'm going to put the garlic on here. Actually, I'm making two focaccias here. I have a non-vegan son and his friend who lives with us, and they're going to have tomato sauce and Reggiano on the other side. So Chef Keem and I are having rosemary, garlic, salt, and pepper. Roman simplicity, even though we're both very Teutonic. We're the type of guys that caused the Romans just unending pain in their different wars of attrition up in trying to conquer us. So we made them suffer with all their simplicity, with our Teutonic fortitude and courage, and been guilty of some other crimes too in our Teutonic past, I guess, but here we are, simplicity of focaccia. Do a little bit of coarsely ground pepper here. My wife's from Mexico City, and this is a molcajete with the mano, and use this to make salsa, Mexican salsa, or grinding pepper. So we're going to add some black pepper here, save some back for the boys, and then kosher salt, salt and bread. Nothing better than that. I think that's the Russian gift. When somebody comes to visit, you offer them salt and bread. So that's a simple focaccia. I'm going to finish the other side off with a little bit of cheese and, well, I'll just show you. I'm going to put just some red sauce on here. This is just a marinara sauce. And again, I'm not going to pop those bubbles. Those bubbles will, as you'll see, those will just blast off when the heat hits them. They'll go to even bigger size. And then they'll get singed and dark, and to me that's just, oh, that's the best part. I love eating the bubbles.
So that don't burn?
Oh no, they'll burn. Singed. Singed, they'll get caramelized, they'll get all kinds of great flavor will develop right there. So I save the bubbles. And again, I'm not going to worry about these corners here. I could stretch the dough out, I'd probably tear it, but it's just how the dough's shaped coming out of the bowl. And it's, you always want something to look rustic, like it was made, didn't come out of a factory, didn't come off an automatic system that makes it everything cookie cutter shaped like. No, this is something that we're making here at home. It's the expression of us today and being here.
George, are we almost ready to bake it?
We are ready to bake. This has been rising for approximately 30 minutes on top of my oven in a nice warm spot. You can see the bubbles have continued to grow. You could touch it very lightly and see it, you know, the spring test. It's very, very airy inside. Airy is good, and so we're ready to go on this guy. We pulled this focaccia out of the oven. Maybe I singed it a little bit too much, at least on the one side, but it's baked for 23 minutes, starting at 525 degrees. I turned it down to 3 1/4 for the last 6 minutes, and so I'm going to decant it. There it is. So we're going to let it sit for a bit, and then we'll take some pictures of the cell structure and see what we're able to achieve. See here, we've got some great bubbles, nice and singed eruptions. Down here you can see the glistening of the salt, the garlic toasted real nice. See the rosemary there, and so it looks pretty damn good to me. I'm happy. Yes, we are at the happy moment of being able to cut into our tradition. We have the world's greatest bread knife here. Notice the nice fine scalloped edges, and we are going to slice from left to right. We want to check for pore structure.
Come on, hurry up, George. I can't wait.
There we go. La voila. Nice fine pore structure, or very open pore structure, but you can notice the thin cell walls that you see. Then you can look down here at the focaccia, and what you want are save the bubbles. We spent so much time working on the bubbles, and there they are.
Hold it up a little more.
Got it? It looks like a good focaccia to me. And as I said, I baked that really hot with a stone, so you can see it's got a nice thick crust, so it's going to be nice and chewy. And what we hope, and what I believe, is the bread drink and the kombucha will give it an extra chewy texture that'll beat any pouliche-only focaccia. Hands down. My guarantee.
Are you happy?
I am always happy when I bake bread.